All right, what is going on, my beautiful people? Don't judge me or analyze me on the chapter you walked in on my life. Don't judge me, don't analyze me by the chapter you walked in on my life. What do you think that means? Think about it. So often we have phases in our life. There's times in our life where we're in the high, and there's times in life that we're in the low. There's a time in life when we're on the left, there's a time in life when we're on the right. And why is this quote relevant to right now, or to what I'm experiencing, or maybe what you're experiencing in your life? Well, I see life as different cycles and different waves, and I feel that there's this myth that you have to have a balanced life. All right, there's this myth that you have to have a balanced life. And that's actually a myth. Because if you look at anyone successful, especially at the beginning, they had to put in a lot of hard work at the beginning. They had to put in a lot of hard work. All right, so just looks at the likes of Tiger Woods, right? At the beginning of his life, he since 3 years old, he was dedicating himself to the craft. And it's not until you get to some sort of mastery level where you can pull off the gas and go back into trying something else out or focus on different areas of your life. If you want to be successful, you have to be magnificently obsessed. Magnificently obsessed. And usually when you're first starting out, you got to be obsessed for the first couple of years. So with that said, for myself personally, I'm looking for the highest version of myself in my mind, the highest version of myself in my body, and the highest version of myself connecting to my spirituality. In basically all of my 20s, I spent time basically in spirituality, studying spirituality, connecting to myself, trying to understand what reality is, doing different comfort zone challenges, being in Vegas sober, getting sober, testing out psychedelics. The mantra that I lived by in my 20s was, I want to do and be an experience as much as possible. So what I did is I went and tested a lot of different things. I was homeless. I just went and was homeless. I've traveled 9 times around the world, or not around, but to different places around the world, back and forth from Canada. And I wanted to see and test and taste as much as possible. I wanted to test out reality. And now moving into my 30s, it's more about building. It's more about grounding. And I'm looking to, in all of my 30s, I'm looking to build as much as possible. I know that my true wisdom won't come till probably in my later 50s. That's when the true wisdom comes. I heard The Rock talk about it, right? When he was in his 30s, he just was getting started. When he was in his 40s, he just caught his stride. And now in his 50s, he's just starting to crank, So, successful people look in terms of years, 5 years, 10 years down the road. So why am I saying all this? We have different phases in our life. And I want to ask you right now, what chapter in your life are you in? Are you focused more so on your body or your health? Are you focused more so on your work, your business, your building? Are you focused on your relationships? Maybe with your friends, maybe with your family. I know for me personally, my relationships is the weakest part of my life. With family, with friends. Other than my personal relationship with my girlfriend, it's where I lack the most, where the weakest, but I have to double down on me. I know that there's going to be an imbalance for the next couple of years in order to go to the places I'm looking to head towards. Doesn't mean I don't not care about my friends, doesn't mean that I don't not care about my family. That's actually quite the opposite. It actually pains my heart not to be in the relationships with some of my friends and family. But if you want to be successful, you have to be magnificently obsessed. So what phase of life are you in? And the reason I'm speaking about this today is because I've been in a business phase. The last 3 months, I've had to 4 months, I've had to really double down here in Bali. I've had to really, really double down. But the months and almost the year before that, I was spending a lot of time on the body. Had a personal trainer, training at the gym 6 days a week, stretching, just going in saunas, recovering, getting massages. I still get massages, but getting massages. I was doing that a lot for the body. Eating well, we were ordering high quality food. We had the finances to do that in that moment. But now, I just saw my, basically my spiritual, she's a beautiful woman here in Bali. If you ever come here, comment below if you want her contact details. She is an absolute legend. She came in and did some work on my body yesterday, and normally she goes onto my emotional and spiritual channels first, because like out here in Bali, spirituality is kind of taking a backseat for me right now. The focus on business and my body. But yesterday, due to a lot of cycles, I've been through a lot of cycles in the last couple of months, she went straight to my body. And you know, body right now through these phases are kind of like on maintenance, but for the last 4 weeks, I really haven't been able to properly train. And she touches my physical side and she goes, yeah, you got a lot going on physically. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because of the cycle that I'm in. But she moved to my emotional and to my spiritual side of myself, because I just spent about 6 days or 5 days isolated in the jungle. Just got out of that. And I basically cleared a lot of stuff that I was navigating, a lot of fear, a lot of doubt, a lot of worry. I got connected back to my heart. She's like, I've never touched your body like this before, where your physical is out of line, but your spiritual, emotional, and mental is in line. But the reason I'm expressing this is because I want to ask you, what phase are you in? And like, I would consider to not judge yourself by the phase that you're in. You know, maybe you're in more of a mental phase. You know, you're working on your mind. You're doing a lot of mind stuff. I've spent a lot of time doing that. Maybe you're more in your spiritual phase. Maybe you're in your wealth creation phase. Maybe you're building your wealth. Maybe you're building your business. Maybe you're doubling down on your friendship or your family connections, you know? But so often what happens on social media, I think especially, is we get portrayed that you have to have it all in alignment. You gotta have this balanced life. But there's chapters. There's chapters to it. Maybe you're in a mental chapter. Maybe you're in a spiritual chapter. Maybe you're in a financial chapter. When you double down on something, some things are gonna fall on the side, and you gotta be okay with that. But if you have this awareness to understand what chapter of life you're in, then it makes making decisions a lot easier. So for example, for me, I'm here in Bali. I gotta make this happen here. I gotta double down. I'm creating the freedom life for myself. I gotta break through the door. I wanna break through the door for you, for my friends, and for my family. I wanna be the guy out of my circle that not through my ego, but for me internally inside myself, because I love being free. And I'm very close to freeing myself financially in the digital world. I'm like right on the edge. And I've been around the humans that are doing that, and it's incredible the freedom they have. But they've doubled down on that. I'm around them too, and some of them I've observed in their inner world that's quite chaotic. Because they haven't done the inner work, right? But they've done the freedom, the digital work, and they've understand the internet machine, which I'm very close, and I'm getting much better at each and every single day. But inside themselves, they haven't done as much deep work, because that was the phase that they're in. And now I often find, I think that's why I connect with a lot of high-performing entrepreneurs, because they spend time in their businesses where I spend time in self. So then we exchange information. I talk about the inner world, I talk about the mind, I talk about spirituality, which is so effortless for me. But then they talk about business, and I'm like trying to understand all the inner workings of business and running a digitally free lifestyle. So let's end there. And I want you to ask yourself right now, what phase of my life am I in? Is it at the beginning of the cycle? Am I in the middle of the cycle, or I'm at the end of the cycle? And if so, can you identify what chapter you're in? And then what's the coming chapter next? Because if you can identify the chapter that you're in now, then you can identify what's coming forward. And this gives you this awareness that allows you to basically navigate your own life book. And then can you do that for others? If you see someone that maybe they've lost their body, but they're cranking in business, it's like, don't judge them because they lost their body or something, or vice versa. Maybe they got this epic body, but then they're not financially well off. Like, don't judge them because they don't have a good body. Maybe they're just in that phase, So I wanted to invite that in today. I haven't been back on the channel in a while, so I wanted to come back. Great place to come back onto. And with that, share my peace, share my love. Click the link below if you want to jump on a call. I love having these kind of conversations. This is what I'm moving myself in towards, committing full-time to speaker, being a trainer, being a coach, feeling really excited. So with that, I share my peace and I share my love.